light switch on, you gonna run my light bill up. Stop rushing so much, you gonna run my light bill up. Stop being scared so much, you gonna run my light bill up.
What the hell? What the hell?
Wait a minute. Is it Mary J. Blige or Nene Leakes?
Well, I'm Leon Kennedy. Who are you?
Name's Grace. FBI.
Grace, how did you get here?
I don't know how I got here. There's monsters.
Oh, honey. Yummy.
Help me.
Grace, if we're going to get through this, I need you to calm down. Calm down because Leon Kennedy is here.
Sorry. I have a bad when I get scared. I stutter. Sorry.
But who sent you here?
I came here because my boss told me to come here and see about.
Shh, you hear that?
The mysterious deaths. That's it happening at the Renwood Hotel.
Man, I can't help you if you don't calm down. Calm down. Calm down.
Please help me. I just want to go home. This is crazy. Give me a second real quick.
Shut up, bitch. Damn, you can't sing. Let it go, girl.
Damn, my bad. Y'all carry on.
So what happened to your stuttering?
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry.
Suspicious. Okay, look. Calm down. Take this gun. You have one bullet. Make it count. And good luck, Grace.
No matter what I do, I will get out of here.
Resident Evil Requiem.
Hey guys, I'm Pierre, aka Nina Bonina Brown, and this is another gaming review, but this time Resident Evil Requiem. I finally played the game. For those that care, I finally beat the game, and I want to talk about it, and I want to give my honest opinions about it, but I'm bringing a little help, so we're going to just do just an honest review of how we feel about Resident Evil Requiem. So let's get to it. Remember, like, sub if you haven't, and yeah, thank you so much for being here. Let's get to it. This is my special guest. By special, I mean special needs. Everybody give it up for Camila Larongo's Cam.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing?
Oh, gosh. I promise you he's not gay. So, thank you for being here.
Hey, Miss Dees. How are you?
Don't miss me. We have Statement here.
Oh, shit.
We both played Resident Evil Requiem, or 9. We are here to share our opinions. So you would consider yourself a Resident Evil fan?
Yeah, 100%.
Resident Evil fan or a Leon fan?
Resident Evil fan.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, I've been playing Resident Evil since the originals. When I had my PSP, I played the originals 1, 2, and 3 on there. Played 4 on my Wii, and the rest of the games was on my consoles, like PlayStation 4, and then so on from there.
So you played Resident Evil 1 since the beginning?
Yeah. I've always been a big fan of the franchise. Like the zombie horror like aspect of it. I feel like the genre itself brought a lot to the horror community. So I've just been a devoted fan since, even seen the movies, and we all know how the movies are.
I like the movies, actually, some of them. Did you play any of the Outbreak games?
Outbreak? No.
Okay.
I'm just a main storyline.
Okay.
Like some of the sub. Mm-hmm.
Little history there. So we both have played this game. I think we kind of have a genuine consensus on what we feel about it. Let's start with the announcement of the game and all the hype. So for me, when it got announced, I was excited. I was like, okay, they have this new character. Her name's Grace, and they said that the guy that made 7 was returning to make this game. So I was like really expecting to be scared, just like in 7. Then they announced Leon, and then everything kind of changed. Like, do you think they kind of changed the dynamic of like the game from when they first announced it without Leon?
Yeah, because when it came to the first part like of the game, when they first released it, we were seeing Grace, and we thought like, oh, like who's this character? What's the story like behind her? It's a brand new character, right? Brand new installation to the series of just another new protagonist.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Leon hyped the game up, or do you think it kind of killed the game a little bit for you, or like what do you think about that?
If I'm being honest, I thought we were on this kind of like trend of seeing, like new people being introduced into the into the Resident Evil games. For me, I wish you kind of stayed in that trend too, because to bring somebody back in who was like part of the main story series, and especially after the Resident Evil 4 remake came out and everything, I know a lot of people got excited for Leon, but to me personally, I think that the game could have been, mostly about Grace without having Leon be in the game too much.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I meant to say, yeah, this actually might be spoilers actually. So like, and I feel like if we're about to maybe spoil something, you haven't played the game yet, I'll say spoilers. So even you can skip by it, whatever. But this will be spoilers for sure, I think. So let's start with the graphics. And what are you playing on?
A PS5.
I'm always saying I'm a graphics whore. Do you care about graphics in a game, or do you care more so about the story over graphics? Like it could be a good story and not be so good graphics, or like vice versa.
So basically, when it comes to the graphics and everything, just like that, for me, we come, so far from into graphics where I feel like, they definitely have evolved. I feel like in a lot of the cutscenes, the graphics really did show out there. Even in some of the gameplay too, I feel like, some of the things were like a smooth transition from the cutscenes to the game itself. I do wish a little bit more like the ambience or the graphics like in the like darker areas were a lot more featured. Just because when it was dark areas, it was just like dark areas, and you had to put on your flashlight. You couldn't see the full overview of everything.
For me, see, I'm playing on a PS5 Pro, and I have like a LG G4 TV that, I'm saying all this just so y'all can understand, like me, why I am a graphics person. Like I try to get all the bells and whistles to have the best that I can have without having a PC. For me, I was actually really impressed with the graphics. I thought they did a really good job. This is some of the best hair they have had in the RE engine. Think back to me on Resident Evil 7, and I was impressed with the areas. Like I really do believe in first person, the graphics really shine. And especially being on what you're playing on, the graphics really shine. I think in third person, the graphics are okay. Like it's not bad. It's definitely better than any of the other Resident Evil games because it's a newer game. So of course you're going to expect things to be better. So overall, I will give the graphics a thumbs up. Like they did a good job. Sound design was good. Wouldn't you say?
I agree. Yeah, in certain like parts of the game, the audio cues, even hearing like the heavy like breathing of just like, oh my gosh, like there's something in the next room, and some of the enemies too, it kind of puts you in that tense area, just like, oh my gosh, like these people are, that they're nearby.
And especially the sound of like the thunder and like in that hotel part and everything was like really good, and the lightning. So they did a good job with that. But this is why I'm saying why I named the title Resident Evil Requiem was okay. For me, Don't get me wrong, this game is I still recommend everybody buy this game. But the first thing that kind of got my hopes down, besides the Leon announcement, was the demo. No demo. Like every Resident Evil game has had a demo since like a while from now. And for this one not getting one, it really dampened my hype for the game because I get it. Yeah, like I was gonna buy it anyway. But everybody can't travel to these like gaming events where you can go play these games, you know, like everybody can afford to do that. So I was really expecting a demo, so that kind of like ruined it for me a little bit. How about you? Like, did it bother you, or you didn't really care as much?
Yeah, I feel like there were opportunities. I feel like there was even parts in the beginning that could have easily been a demo.
Yeah.
Like part of it, especially from the transition from Grace's story
Right.
to Leon's, and you know, since they hyped up Leon so much, I thought they probably would have done like the beginning part, you know, where you see the infection start taking over people, and then you're fighting in the city, and then from that point, that could have just been the demo itself.
And I would have been happy with just the Grace demo that everybody got to play with the monster in the beginning. That would have been fine, like just to get an idea of like how the game is. So that kind of was like my like, oh Lord, what do we feel about? Okay, speaking of Leon and Grace, what do you feel about the characters like in the game? Like, what do you feel about Grace, and what do you feel about Leon? We'll start with Leon first.
Okay, so starting with Leon, you know, always been an established character into the Resident Evil franchise, from 2 to 4 to this game now.
6.
You know,
6.
how he looks updated, you know, he does look older, right? You know, I feel like they really went into detail just like at that point, and you know, at his age, you know, moving and everything just like that, you know, create just like that sense of, you know, nostalgic, just like, oh, like, you know, this is, you know, the action part of the game. You know, I see what the developers were talking about when they said, you know, Grace's was going to be more so horror, Leon's was going to be more so like action based, because with Leon, I felt like I can pick up all these zombies and I'll be okay, right? So I did enjoy, you know, kind of feeling like powerful in that sense when it comes to Leon's side of everything. I do feel like they did give him a little bit too...
You okay?
Yes. Sorry. I suffer from laugh attack, so I'll laugh out of nowhere.
Okay.
Sorry. Damn it, Pierre, you made me lose But yeah, I feel like they really gave him a lot more of the action parts, to where I feel like they could have gave Grace her little moments of, you know, getting stronger weapons and, you know, start developing to her character. Yeah, so basically like he got like more like the action parts, you know, it felt like your true Resident Evil action game, right? Or not action game, but like the action segment.
I mean, action game. Let's be honest, it was action. Go ahead. Would you say this game was horror or more action?
I would say I think it was pretty half and half.
I feel like it was more action. Like I feel maybe because like the horror wasn't really horrifying for me, but we'll come back to that. Okay, I'll get on Leon. So Leon for me, like you said, established character. 2, 4, 6, which I love 6. People hate it, but I love Resident Evil 6. And he's been in other little things, you know, like the movies and stuff. He was younger, you know, rookie at the Raccoon City Police Station. Cool. You know, it's cool to see him like older and like he's still doing his thing, and he really gave no F's in this game. Like he really like didn't come to play. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Leon stan, but it was, I ain't gonna lie, his parts were fun to play. They were fun to play. They didn't lie about that. Like the action was very satisfying to me. I enjoyed his arc, you know, of a character, and I just hope that it's the end. What do you feel about Grace?
With Grace's part of the story, like I said, you know, I feel like they really explained it well when they said Grace's part was going to be more so the horror side, just because there were moments where, you know, all she gets in the game is just a pistol, well, the 2 pistols and the Requiem, right? But it just feels like, you know, you feel very limited. So that's why you have to be a little more stealthier, and you have to be a little bit more aware of your surroundings and like what's going on during her part. So basically, like her character development throughout the story, you know, she was this timid office worker, you know, with the events that happened in the past. You know, that's the thing that really is truly, you know, traumatizing for her. And the fact that she has to go back to this place again and kind of like relive those moments again in her head. You know, she was very like timid, like very shy, and you know, she felt like she couldn't really save anyone. But as the story goes on, you know, she I believe does become a lot more confident, and I do like her contribution to this game. I think, as a character, without having like really like any like super major relations to like any of like the main cast, I think she was a good contribution.
Right. Yeah. I think Grace is a welcome addition. I think she's gorgeous. I think she is relatable to a lot of people. She stutters. Too much though. I mean, too much. Like, what really quick? What did you feel about the stuttering, the constant stuttering about? Like, did it bother you, or like you you didn't mind it?
Like, to me, I really didn't notice it at first until we said something about, or until you said something about it, and I was just like, oh shit, like she does stutter a lot.
Yeah.
Like, Mom is always trembling.
Yes, and like I get it. Like maybe they want her. Maybe they liked it and told her to keep doing it, but I don't think it was needed all the time. Like we get it. You're scared, and her voice actor will definitely win a award. She should. And she was just like relatable, like she had trauma in her life, and she had to get through that. And she was very loving and caring, especially like to Emily and anybody. It's like she would do dumb things, like she would see a zombie on the ground and be like, "Are you okay?" It's like, girl, like a little too nice, honestly. It's like, girl, they're dead, like But I relate to her. Would you say you like her as a beginning new character over Ethan? Similar, or they're just so different? You think?
I think they're both very different because they had, I don't want to talk too much about like, this Resident Evil 7 game, but
right.
I feel like for Ethan, I like Ethan for his own reasons, and I like Grace for her own reasons too. But when it comes to like, I guess, characters itself, I do like Ethan a little bit more.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about 7 a little bit later. But yeah, okay, interesting. Personally, I think maybe because I like girls. Like I like girl stuff. Ethan ended up being a really good hero that I think they look over in Resident Evil, and the fandom does. I may like Grace better, maybe because like once again I like girl stuff. So that could be what it is. What do we feel about the length of the game? Do you think it was too short? Because yesterday you were saying, so now we're in the process of speed running the game, and you can get a trophy or points by doing certain challenges, and one of them is like beat the game in 4 hours. So you were saying that technically you feel like the game it's really 4 hours, so it's really too short. But like, what do you think? What do you think? Too short? Too long?
Like the way we experienced it the first time, being into the detail of the game, going to looking for objects, looking for like the hidden items and stuff like that. Me, I feel like I can speak for both of us. We're both kind of like completionists in that way, to where we want to relish into the game versus like just going from point A to point B without really looking for like all the stuff like in between or like trying to rush through the game.
Right.
I feel like we took our time with it, and I feel like I was very happy with the timeline. Like, I didn't finish it in 3 days.
Right.
Like some people, it took us about like maybe like a week and a half to finish it. But
that's not because we're not good. We just want to take our time. Because like, what was your total play time? Do you remember what it said?
I think like 10, 11 hours.
It has to be more than that because we were on something. Because like mine was 15, and I think Deontay's was like 14, something like that. It had to be 14, I think, for you.
I thought Deontay's was 11.
It was 14 hours. Yeah.
Probably somewhere around that range. But either way, it's from the 10 to 15 hour like time frame just onto it.
Yeah.
So even playing, with just like the length just like of that versus speed running it, and clearly the game could be finished in 4 hours,
right.
If it's a challenge, right? It was nice to see like all the hidden like Easter eggs and, see stuff that we probably would have missed if we would try to speed through the game.
Right. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you got your money worth though from the length of it?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Like I said, I've been a fan of Resident Evil for a long time. Overall, it's more than just the gameplay. It's the story. It's everything that's going on outside the game. How everything contributes to get to where you are right now. So I was very happy with the length, and I'm not mad at the money that I spent for it.
Okay, that's the thing. These days, I'd be ready to get games over with, or games that I really don't care. I'm just like, I just want to hurry and beat it, get it done. Like I just beat High on Life too, and I wanted to hurry and beat it because I was kind of tired of it. With Resident Evil, I feel like they can give me 20 hours and I wouldn't care. Because because I enjoy it. So originally there was rumors of it being open world, which would have been nice and made it longer. So for me, it could have been longer. But since you said something about which is areas of the Resident Evil game, because when the game was being shown, all it showed was the Chronic Care Center. And I'm like, Are they doing that because they don't want to spoil stuff, or literally it's most of the gaming taking place in the Chronic Care Center? What do you feel about the areas? Because it was just technically hotel, which was really short. It was a little bit of the city, a little bit. And then it was the Chronic Care Center. And still, even the basement and all that was still attached to the Chronic Care Center. And then it was Raccoon City. I mean, as far as like the old Raccoon City. So like, what do you think they could have done more, or are you happy with the game being taking place in like mainly one location?
Keeping it in one area, I think was okay to do with this game because referring back to 6, right? We were traveling all over the world and different timelines and stuff like that. Having it take place in the Chronic Care Center, I feel like I feel like it was wide enough. I feel like it kind of reminded me of the Resident Evil Mansion a little bit, just in the areas that you go to, like the East Wing and the West Wing, and then having to go back and forth for the like DNA samples and stuff like that. But I think overall, when it comes to like them going to different areas, I feel like we got to see a few good surroundings and environments like within the game.
I feel I wanted more, but then am I being fair? Because like we talked earlier, and I feel like, speaking of Village, I know a lot of people don't like Village, but Village I feel like had so much to do. Like, you had the Heisenberg factory, you had Benevito's house with the baby, you had the Swamp Thing with that creature, and then you had the castle with Lady D'Amica, and you had, so like I appreciated the variety of that. And I think about two took place mostly in the police station, right? I'm assuming like there was that, right? And the orphanage, I think, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a mix of, it depends, on the story that you played. Leon was the one in the police department. Claire, you had to go like to different like substations, the gun shop, everything.
But it was still kind of like, and like one is the mansion, and this is why, like one works because scary is being inside a big mansion or some kind of house or hospital, something like that. Just like 7 with focus on the Baker's house and their area, it worked. It really worked well. This game, I wanted a little more. Like, even after we got out the Chronic Care Center and we went to the helicopter part, I feel like that part could have been longer. I'm like, it could have been a little more to do in that area. And then the part with the Children of the Corn, the orphanage, was really cool. I mean, really cool, and it was giving creepiness. It could have been longer. I feel like all the parts that could have been longer weren't long enough. Going back to Raccoon City, I know there were a lot of people that were breaking on their knees crying, "Oh my God, I played this game when I was 10 and it's so cool to be back here." Oh. I was just like, okay, it's cool to see it. And don't get me wrong, like once again, if you're in first person, I know Leon should be third person, it looks really good. It does, but I just wanted more of the areas. I think I wanted more. I wanted to feel something more. Overall, cool. Okay, you mentioned earlier Easter eggs. Do you think there was enough Easter eggs? Do you think it was too many? Think it was too little? Did we find them all? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, the usual challenge of just searching for items and stuff, and we can go into the raccoons later if you want to. But even seeing like the little like special like Easter eggs, and this, I guess it's gonna be a little bit like spoiler. Like onto it, but seeing
spoiler alert
tofu. Yeah, like seeing the tofu like pop up during the Leon segment,
right?
Seeing so much of like the memorabilia from like the police station, it kind of was just like, oh my gosh, like just seeing, reminiscing back to the older games and seeing like the homage like to them, and just how far Resident Evil has come just as a franchise, just overall. I think it was really great, and I could see why people got so attached to the Raccoon City part,
right? Just
because it just creates back those memories of playing 1, 2, 3, getting those flashbacks of just like those corner cut games and from the camera angles and everything, just like that.
The Easter eggs, and I feel like we found all of them, because like I'm only missing like 2 out of all the files, and I only missed like 2 raccoons, which were hard to see because you had to use the scope to find those 2. But I did pretty good for a first run around. I did pretty good, and yeah, I think the best Easter egg was definitely Killer Tofu. My 90s hit out there, "Oh, you Killer Tofu." It's like seeing him like just running around the raccoon police station was cool, and I think they could have did a better job speaking of Easter eggs, with the flashbacks of him when he was younger. Like, I feel like it was cheaply done. I feel like what they could have done with the graphics they have now, they could have literally had moments where like the inside of the Raccoon City police station would actually turn into when it was new and fresh, and it could have showed like just memories of like people walking around and stuff, and seeing Claire. Like Claire could have showed up. That'd have been cool, just in that memory, or Jill, instead of these little quick little bad graphic flashbacks of him. Like I was like, could have done better than that. Earlier you mentioned zombies. This is a good one. Okay, what do you feel about, we've had all different kind of zombies throughout Resident Evil games, creatures, monsters, villains. What do you feel about the zombies overall? Like were they cool? Were they unoriginal? What do you think?
Yeah, so, going between the two different types, like, of this game, right? Because you have the ones that were in the hospital, and we all know that Dr. Gideon, infects them. They still retain a part of their past selves with them. So, like, the instance of, like, the cook, the opera singers, the butlers, the maids.
Right.
I'm sorry, I laughed because I think of the maid cleaned that window aggressively. But, it kind of creates, like, this status of just, like, these were people, who were just probably just working, minding their business. And then all of a sudden, this whole thing happens, and the last thing they do or know of is what they were doing as their last thing. So I feel like, it's a humane part. It's weird to see zombies be humane versus like just being brain dead.
Right. It's not their first time where we've heard zombies talk a little bit, because even like in 4, they say food from Easter, stuff like that. So, but no, these ones, I think the zombies were actually really good up until we got to Raccoon City. I felt like it fell short, but that beginning though, like the beginning in the city, and just seeing that lady bite off that man's face, and then like it go from there, and just seeing, like you said, like them having personality and feelings. What I wish they would have done for a quick moment is that they would have shown the inside of the Chronic Care Center, where everybody that we've seen as zombies walking around doing their job, working, like just seeing them, and then seeing them after how they are now. Like, speaking of sadness, the one zombie, the black lady that was saying like, I'll do better. Cause I guess in her life when she was alive, she wasn't being appreciated at the job. The one guy that's eating the lady talking about, you're fired. He must have been that really bad guy that fires everybody, and then the chef that's cooking. Like, it was really cool to see them with these emotions. And then the singers that swear they're Sindel was really cool, and then seeing the zombies in Raccoon City, who were just kind of like, just dry, boneless zombies, were kind of like, I miss the personalities of the Chronic Care Center, but I guess they didn't feel like spending that much time and making each individual zombies do things. Then we had the dogs for a moment, during the bike ride, which I wish that bike ride could have been like actually more us controlling it and being able to drive around Raccoon City. Like, wouldn't you agree? Like on our own to drive around it.
Yeah, like that whole action sequence, it did feel, the game did did the driving for you, and you were just focused just on shooting. Right. I think it was a phenomenal scene, especially going up the building and everything. Right. We can go to that a little bit later. But, I do feel I wish we had a little bit more control.
Even in our Porsche, like they did this whole promoting about this Porsche, and then we didn't even get to drive it on our own. So I'm just like, what was the point? But the dogs were zombies as well, and these were probably some of the scariest looking dogs they've had. Actually, I think some of the scariest dogs I remember, I don't know if it was 5. It was the dogs that looked like hound dogs. They had the big long ears, and they just creepy as hell to me. Spoiler. Spoiler. What did you feel about them bringing back our boy, Mr. X?
The excitement just of that, just seeing again, homage, like the older games. It's like seeing him again, you're like, oh God, again? Like, right, because he was such a nuisance in Resident Evil 2, right. And especially like in Leon's story, because, that was kind of like what his main boss was, right? Right. And just seeing it again just put me back at this, like, oh Lord. But going back from like when Leon was a rookie to where he is now, handling the situation of him chasing you, and then even after finishing that first part with him, and then going to the actual boss fight like with him in the courtyard, it truly felt like Leon has come a long way.
Do you think it was Mr. X or like a clone, or it was him? You think the actual one?
I don't think it was the actual one. I think it was another variant of him.
Right. Because they were saying how all these things cost so much money to make. Like those dogs were like, I mean, like millions of dollars to make them. So they probably paid to make another Mr. X. Since we're still on villains and stuff, what do you feel about? I thought it was Wesker, and I still think it's a Wesker clone. I still don't care. What's his name? Xeon. What do you feel about Xeon?
Xeno.
Oh, sorry, Xeno. What do you feel about Xeno? Was he a threat?
I wish they did more with him, if I'm being honest, because, having this person have these, superhuman abilities, he did get very Wesker-esque, characteristics, with the sunglasses, with the, like, speed, like, his signature move of just, like, hitting them in the chest and stuff like that. I was kind of on the fence of, like, did he come back? I thought we left him in the volcano.
Right.
Yeah, it's just seeing his character overall. I wish there was more with him versus, and spoiler for this, for him just getting killed off by just getting, I believe it was just decapitated from the other doctors. Yeah. So I wish there was more with him.
Yeah, same. It was like, okay, because like I thought we were going to have a battle with him, but no, we just saw a little cutscene of him. How about Gideon? Do you think he was a great villain for this game?
Thought he played an okay role. Like, in the beginning, I was just like, they were preparing us, for this whole, the setup of, us finding him in the end, which we did, right? But I feel like he could have been a little bit more present in the story versus just being just in the care center, and then he has to go and kill Leon off in the Requiem City. He falls off the bridge, and then we don't see him until the very end. I feel like they try to make him, be like, oh, like, the whole, like, oh, he's dead, but he's really not dead. He came back at the end. I really do wish he was a little bit more present in the story as a villain.
Okay, and the Hag, do you think she was as menacing and threatening as a Nemesis or as a Mr. X or as Jack Baker? Like, do you think she had that kind of presence to kind of make you, like, uneasy the whole time?
Yeah, I think so, because like I said, in Grace's playthrough, right, Grace doesn't have the most resources on her, so you have to play kind of smart, and, you have to kind of, like, maneuver your way around her. Initially, she grabbed you. It was almost like an instant kill, especially in the beginning of the game, too. I do feel like she, in this, well, what's the word, really put herself in the game, going like after Grace, and especially like after you see her second form and her third form, you're not gonna give me this time, bitch. Especially just like the second form, and like at the final like part of it, I think she was a pretty good villain.
Okay, inventory. Do you like the inventory system here? Do you like the maps? Do you think it were helpful? Like, what did you think about this time, the inventory situation going on?
So yeah, with like Grace's inventory, with it being a lot of your inventory being full of craftable items.
Right.
I feel like her inventory sometimes became very like limited, but I feel like that's how all these games are. You start up with such a small inventory, and you have to be thinking about like, oh, do I want to drop this? Do I want to discard this? Right. But as the game goes on, I feel like you craft enough stuff to where you still have enough space, but you can also still collect stuff. With Leon, it's true to Resident Evil, playing Tetris to have the pieces that fit, so you have enough room for everything. So they were both inventory things that I was accustomed to. So it's just depending on your play style, right? You're someone who likes to preserve everything, or if you're somebody who like wants to always have like get rid of stuff that you don't need. It just depends on your play style.
Yeah, I thought the inventory was annoying as always. They made it seem like Leon had like infinity inventory. And then when we finally got to like Raccoon City, it was like, oh, wait, I need to actually buy some more inventory because it's running out. I thought that, but that's to make you more stressed as you want to be in a Resident Evil game. Like, you want to be like, oh my God, like let me play smart. And just speaking of that, like, what did you feel though about the cool things of like crafting blood? Even though I don't get how you could make blood into bullets, but whatever. But what do you feel about making blood and then like using it to actually inject the enemy and like kill it? Like, was that kind of cool?
Yeah, especially since Grace doesn't have a sneak attack. That's basically her version of the sneak attack. It just is a little bit annoying where you have to craft it.
Right.
You have to craft the sneak attack somebody, right? I think, the whole like crafting method, I feel like they did give us enough blood to where I didn't feel like I ever ran out of blood, or I was just like, oh Lord, like I need to go back to this place where all this blood is. I feel like I went through the game pretty well, and considering the blood that I did have.
Right. Speaking of the blood, though, like they would have a whole tub of blood, and you would take the blood, and somehow there's still blood in there that we see, but like it's out. Like that made no sense.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they could have took the time to actually make the blood actually disappear, so like we actually don't see it anymore. That was different. But also, why couldn't we sneak attack with the knife? Or the makeshift blade. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But do you think the game itself, I guess these can kind of fall together. What do you feel about replayability of this game? And did you find the game easy or hard?
I think when it first comes to replayability like of the game, I think I would. Oh, well, we are replaying it right now, so
Right.
I think that's an answer enough to where I do like this installment into the franchise overall. Replaying it again, just catching stuff that you didn't catch before. And really just becoming, a completionist, just going through everything, completing all the challenges. That's just the type of gamer I am. So replayability wasn't a question for me at all.
For me, it's definitely a replayable game, but it's almost what makes it kind of not replayable is like, okay, they should have chapter selects, because what if you don't feel like playing this hotel part again? What if you want to just be Leon and you want to just kick butt in the city for a little bit? But I guess that would come for like when they have mercenaries. I don't know why they don't have mercenaries at the start, but to be fair, the 4 remake didn't get mercenaries until like a week later after the game came out. Hopefully it's still the case for this game where we'll get mercenaries mode. But it's like once you clear all the zombies out in the chronic care center, like if you somehow manage to do that with Grace, Leon comes there and he doesn't have anybody to kill. Until that part when you go upstairs where you have to do all the things. But like before that, it's like you want to go in there and you want to kick ass, not just walk around a empty place. It's like, but it's cool detail. Like what one character does affects the other character. That's cool detail. But they could have added more zombies or something during the time that Leon comes in there, because you're just walking around and there's nothing to do. And so stuff like that makes it kind of like, do I want to do it again? And I always say that in Resident Evil games, there are certain areas that I don't want to play again, or I hate playing again. Like 2, I hate going into the sewers with the doodoo singing mermaids. I hate 3. I hate 3 with the spider part. The spiders in the part where Jill have to go in there and they do the thing with that. I hate that part. I don't know. 8, I don't like going to Heisenberg's area that much. But this game, I don't mind doing any of it again. Honestly, like the basement part is kind of like, but it's replayable, but there's certain things they can do to make it just a little more rewarding. Once you, I guess, get infinity ammo, you can get through the hospital stuff like in 2 seconds. Like it's just I don't know. And also, what would make it more replayable is a VR option, because we both have our VR headsets, and it's like I really wish this would have been the first Resident Evil game. They would have came out at the same time with VR on the release date. Because they're going to probably bring it out, but it'll be like in October or something like that, so that way they can get more sales. Like now we have VR. But our first experience playing in VR would have been really cool to experience this game in VR.
Yeah, especially in a lot of those.
Grace.
Especially, in Grace's part, especially in the beginning, when we first see the guy transform, the police officer transform.
Right.
Even when the what you call the hag, even that first part where she's just like right next to you, you see her teeth all up in your face, like
right.
There's definitely opportunities for VR, and I hope it is something that they do go with, because I would want to see that and experience that too.
Right, and I know we'll still play it, but just we could have tried to wait until they announced it, which would have been hard to do. But I wish that could have been our first experience playing the game in VR. Because those of y'all that have played 7 in VR, y'all know what I'm talking about. Puzzles. I feel like the puzzles were kind of like not really puzzling. Like I feel like there's been harder puzzles in Resident Evil games, except for that final puzzle. But what do you think?
Resident Evil always has like its puzzles. I feel like the puzzles weren't the hardest thing to do. I know everybody's talking about, everybody's gonna mention the final puzzle and everything just like that.
Yeah.
Out of regard to that, I feel like that's like a side quest you can do. The puzzles that actually contribute to the main game, though,
right.
I feel like weren't that challenging.
No.
Me, I'm a puzzle person, so I've always been someone who likes puzzle games overall. I just felt like they were just okay. It wasn't the hardest thing in the world to decipher, but that's my thoughts.
That final puzzle, some random person allegedly figured it out, but I believe that it was data mined. Like I feel like they somehow either Capcom gave them the information or they data mined it, because ain't no way you just figured it out as a regular everyday person. I'm being honest. Like it's no way. Okay, spoilers right here. What do we feel about the ending? Like, what do we feel about? Because you get two choices that you can make. I'll let y'all choose y'all. Wait, what's in spoiler? If you don't want to know what the ending is and you haven't played the game yet, do not watch the rest of this right now. Don't. But you get two choices, which is at the end: release Elpis or destroy Elpis. Wait, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then the fighting with the enemies. What do you think? Like, was it worth the ending? Could it have been better? Like, what do you think?
So speaking just into that whole last part of the game, you're into the underground lab again, playing homage. Well, basically seeing an old Resident Evil monster come back, the Lickers.
Oh yeah.
Like seeing like that whole thing. When it came down to those, your decision to release Elpis or to destroy Elpis. I felt everything that led up to that, it was a very intense moment because I was going in between back and forth, like, oh my God, I don't know which one to choose, which one's the right one, which one's the wrong one. I don't want to be wrong, and everything just like that. But initially, I chose release Elpis. That is quote unquote the good ending,
right?
The canon ending. So this is, I guess, the ending that actually did happen. I was satisfied with the ending.
But how about the boss fight?
The boss fight, so this is when I kind of go back to what I was saying a little bit earlier, where I feel like Leon gets majority of the action part of the game because Grace gets impaired to where she can't really contribute to the fight at all. And I really wish they would have gave Grace her moment to take down this guy who kidnapped her.
Right.
This guy who, Dr. Gideon, right? This guy who put her into this rehabilitation center or the clinic, right? And I just wanted her moment to shine, but I feel like they give it all to Leon.
Right. Yeah. So the story, even if you choose either one, it gives you have an option where you can go back and play it again and see how it goes. Do you think so? Just so y'all know, the bad ending, the bad ending is where Leon dies. Do you think that was the original ending of this game secretly? But then when they realized the fans would attack them for killing off Leon, like how they did with what's his name in Last of Us? What's his name? Joel. Yeah. People were mad about that. Are really mad. Do you think they didn't want another Joel incident? So they decided to add another story to it, so a happy ending.
Yeah, I think they did because I don't think at any point in any mainstream Resident Evil game, and I could be wrong on this, to where I feel like there's not really a split choice of, like what you want to do, right? Usually they just follow through with the story.
Right.
It's like creating like this what if moment, right? Because, with the bad ending, after Leon dies, the whole facility just like crashes down on them. And Grace gets out of the whole place, fine. And then that's the end with the credits.
Right.
I feel like there could have been another boss fight moment again with Grace to where it could have been her versus the guy, right?
Zion.
Who, I forgot his name, Zeno, correct?
Yeah.
I feel like there could have been a moment with them to where basically it's a showdown between both of them because Zeno, he has this whole big ass gun, right? And I think, probably could have been like potentially like a shootout or something like that. But the bad ending was very abrupt.
Yeah. I feel like if they would have kept him dying, because it was already rumored that he was going to die. Like this was a rumor. And I felt like they could have still done that, but gave him a peaceful send-off. It could have been, horrible to see, but then it could have been at the end. Somehow, maybe they rebuild the raccoon police station. I don't know, something. And then like, Chris comes, Claire comes, Rebecca comes, Joe comes. Everybody comes to his funeral and pays respect to him. And then that would have been a nice send off for Leon, like for what all he's done. It was just abrupt. And then the other ending, was pretty much people were saying that Leon's married. I'm like I must have missed something like when they were talking. But the other ending is a nice ending. It's cute. Grace is happy. She adopts Emily. Really quick, Alyssa should have had more parts in this game, or they could have at least allowed us to play as Alyssa. And costume wise, they could have given Grace a DLC Alyssa costume, her mom's costume, just something more. Alyssa wasn't there enough, but anyway, Alyssa was trying to protect Grace. It was nice seeing her trying to be the motherly role and do what Alyssa did to her and take Emily in, and so that was nice. I just hope that because I think they would have DLC. I'm sure you think they'll have this as well. I hope we have. What would you want from a DLC? Like, would you want Alyssa DLC? Do you want more Leon, or do you want more Grace or Chris? Because they showed Chris at the. Well, they didn't show Chris, but they talked about Chris at the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, they teased him. For me, it would probably have to be, I think, because there's nothing more to add past the game. I don't think it's set up for anybody to get set up like towards the end or anything like that. I think going back in time, like probably playing like some form of like, Alyssa gameplay would probably be something that I would want to do.
Right.
Even going back to the orphanage and like, with the kids and especially like Emily and like the other girl, right? How did the other girl transform? You know, the holes that are all throughout the building, and even in that other girl's cell, there was the hole there, right? So I even think like going back into those parts could be an interesting way to go back.
Right. Yeah. I don't need more Leon. I don't. Like, I mean, I feel like it was like give us the other people. Like, give us other sides. And I meant to say the boss fight for me was a letdown. It was like, I don't want to be stressed out in the game, right? So thank you, Resident Evil. But at the same time, it was too easy. It was just like, that was it. Yeah. Like all this build up for that's it. Just okay. Like, well.
Yeah, if I can interject.
No, go ahead.
Because we played on standard, which is, when you first play through, that's the hardest difficulty there is, right? I feel like going back to a game before Resident Evil Village, I feel like Mother Miranda was more intense than, this final boss right here.
Yeah.
And there was different phases of it, and, they had different phases in this one too.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like, I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, like, this is very close. Like, am I gonna be able to kill him or not?
Right.
Like, it was easy. Like
easy,
you said,
easy. All that build up just for that. Speaking of that, would you say this game is easy? Is it one of the easier or harder games you played in the Resident Evil series?
Yeah, I feel like this Resident Evil game was very much so standard. I feel like there weren't any super hard moments. I feel like there were super annoying moments,
right?
Especially in the Raccoon City part with them damn zombies and the rocket launchers.
Yeah,
like that was probably like one of the more annoying parts of the game. But I just feel like it was okay. It wasn't the hardest thing. I didn't feel challenged in any really certain parts of it, but that could potentially be just because of the difficulty that that we're set at the beginning. Maybe on intensity, or if there's another game mode higher, maybe it is harder. But
that, or is it also because we just been playing the games for so much that it's kind of like you kind of are used to it in a way. And I almost wonder, were they trying to be lenient because they figured they would have a lot of new players playing the game, so they're like, let's dumb it down a little bit.
Maybe so. I mean, with the direction that they took this game, I feel like there were a good amount of stealth moments in here. You could either choose to play stealthy or running guns blazing. If you want. But I feel like for the standard mode and like the hardest mode that this game offered, it didn't feel that way.
Right.
in this first playthrough.
What would you give this one out of a rating of 1 to 10?
If I'm being honest, I do appreciate this game. I think this game was a good installment to the franchise overall. Of the ones that are recent, I probably would give this one a 7.
Out of a 1 to 10, I said an 8. A part of me also wants to say a 7.5, but I'm gonna give it an 8. Like, don't hear us out. Go buy the game. It's worth the money. Like that's like don't think because we're not giving it a 10 or a 9 that it's a bad game. It's not a bad game. It's just that I had high hopes and I had expectations that I put on myself. Especially being that the guy that made 7 came back. I always didn't want to have a favorite. But if I had to choose, I have a favorite Resident Evil game. If I had to, between 7, 8, and 9. 7, to me, for my opinion, y'all, 7 is better than 9. For my opinion. Like, I know that a lot of y'all were mad about the game. Y'all hated first person. Y'all hated this new direction. But this is the issue. Whoever makes Resident Evil games, Capcom, y'all need to figure out, do y'all want the game to be horror or do y'all want it to be action? And I think that's why they tried doing this split thing with Leon and her. But I'm like, it's like, y'all make your mind up, because like 7 is what brought the game back to what it brought the fans back to the game. It may have haters, but it brought people back. It made it popular again. And 7 to me is definitely the epitome of a horror game. And there was some action in there as well. Action doesn't always have to be riding a bike up a building. Stuff like that all the time. It can be something as simple as like a fight between a man and a crazy deranged dad. So 7 for me is definitely better than 9, in my opinion. And those of y'all, I feel like a lot of y'all are fans because y'all are fans after playing 4 Remake. That was y'all's first Resident Evil game. Y'all didn't play the older ones, so y'all just automatically assume anything with Leon is the best, but no. And also Capcom, y'all could have also just kept the game being as Grace. And if you wanted to bring Leon in, the same way y'all did in Village, y'all could have had Chris maybe in little cutscenes here and there, and then you could have had a part where we play as Chris towards the end. So it could have been like Leon playing Leon at the end. But like, I feel like Grace could have handled it on her own, but I know y'all were scared of the maybe male fan base, who in my opinion are gay, because all I hear them saying is Leon is so hot in 4K. And I hear nobody talking about how pretty and gorgeous Grace is. And she is gorgeous.
Yeah.
She is. All I hear is Leon is so hot. And I'm sorry, I'm tired of the Leon hype train. I hope that he is gone and not seen again in another game. I'm sorry about it. I want them to move on and not be scared to try new things and be different and unique. Because now I'm getting to a point now where I feel like I like Silent Hill better. And I was always more of a Resident Evil person, but Silent Hill has been giving me the fear that I want. So I want a scary Resident Evil game, of course with still some shooting and stuff, but I want a scary Resident Evil game. So, is there any last thing? Go ahead.
Yeah, so just to add on to that, because this is a conversation we kind of had before too, to where if they are going to introduce back somebody who's been around in the game since like the original ones, if you're going to make the main focus, because here's what I feel, like I said, like about the game and going back to what I said, Leon having the final boss fight, it almost feels like, Grace is a secondary character.
Yeah.
Don't make who you are having be this new protagonist feel like a secondary character.
Yeah, because y'all did that. Like, y'all made it seem like she'll be this lead character, and then it just fell into the whole damsel in distress, and she needed to be saved by a man, as always. It's like, we don't have to always do that. You don't have to always try to appease one side of the audience. There's other people here who are willing and ready to have new stories being told, and not the typical thing. Like, you did so good with 7, so good that you could have done the same thing with Requiem, and so it just kind of fell short. So I hope, and no Ada. This is the first time in a while where Leon has not seen Ada. Where's Ada at? Like, will she be in the DLC? Has she just? Did y'all? Because from what I hear, Capcom hates showing women get older. They don't mind the men getting older. Men are more acceptable of becoming older. Women is kind of hard, kind of looked down upon. So it's like, do y'all not want us to see an older Ada? Or like, 'cause I'm quite sure she'll still look good. It's like, what happened?
Like, she could be more mature though. I mean, you don't have to necessarily pull away like from her looks or anything. They could make her look more mature, especially going from 2 to 4. To her having that shorter dress,
and
to 6. With the remake of 4, it's a little bit more like updated. Even going into 6, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they've the way that they played her out to make her look more grown and mature. I feel like they've done a pretty good job with that.
Right.
Just overall. This, like you say, this is the first game where, it's a Leon based game because, Leon did 2, 4, and 6.
Right.
And Ada was a part of all those. And this is the one game where it has Leon and Ada's not there.
Yeah.
I want them to invest a little bit more into, these characters who have so much mysterious kind of like aura to them, because I want to know more about Ada. That's who, as a Resident Evil fan, that's someone who I want to, a little bit more about their backstory versus them coming up as like a paid mercenary, like hire, right, for some objective.
And even the men that hate playing as women because they can't relate to women, I think they wouldn't mind playing as Ada because they find her hot. So like, I'm quite sure people will be okay with playing a game just based on Ada, and just really quick, bringing back characters. I want to see characters back from 6. We could, Sherry was there. Sherry could have had a part in the game. We played as her. I want to see what happened to Helena. What happened to Jake? Bring back Jake. That's literally Wesker's son. Bring back Jake. Jake could come back. Jake could have been in the part of Xeno or whatever. Just something. Like, give us back these characters. Don't just erase them. Did you have any final words on Requiem experience, or you got everything out?
Yeah, I think I got everything out. Just summarizing, everything I said. Good game overall. I feel like there are opportunities within this game, but I think it contributes to the storyline and, where they go from here, they tease Chris at the end. We
Yeah.
may have a new game that may go around Chris or something like that, but
Right.
I want to see what direction they choose to take it based off of everybody's experience from this time.
Those of y'all that are old like me, I hope we're alive for the next main full game. Because the next one we're getting remake-wise is Code Veronica, allegedly, which I don't think I was ever a big fan of that one, but I know everybody loves it, but it'll be good to see Clear, again. And they're allegedly making a one remake again with the better graphics now. So yeah, but thank y'all for watching. And once again, we're not trying to deter you from buying the game. We're just giving our honest opinions. Like, we're not gonna be over here kissing ass and being like Leon is the best thing ever and all that. Because Resident Evil is more than just Leon. If you're a Resident Evil fan, then you're a fan of Resident Evil, not just one person. But yeah, y'all play the game, and if you come back and watch the video so you don't get spoiled, whatever the case is. And thank you for being here, Cam. And I will see y'all for the next whatever. Y'all can catch me probably playing like speed runs or whatever. So yeah. In the meantime, stay beat. Oh, never mind. We're not doing that today. We're straight. Yeah, bros. Catch you next time. Peace out.
Peace, yo.